How often do you think about the moon? It's probably not something you think about all the time, but it's always there, a constant presence in space. In the introduction to This Rock, That Rock, Dom Conlon tells us how incredible the moon is. It's incredible enough to help control our tides. It's incredible enough to make our days 24 hours long. They would be about 7 hours without it. It's incredible enough to keep our planet from wobbling about too much. A bigger wobble would mean extreme seasons, or even no seasons at all. 3 cheers for our incredible moon. There's so many different aspects of the moon that people find fascinating. The science, the moon's role in space, the history, the race to be the first country to land a man on the moon, the mythology, what ancient civilizations used to believe about the moon. There's so much to find out and research about the moon. There's also the more personal relationship that we might have with the moon. Looking at the moon might remind you of the time you went camping and stayed out looking at the night sky. Looking at the moon might make you think about the mission to land the first woman on the moon in 2024. Looking at the moon might make you think further into the future and picture a world when humans live up there. There's lots that we know about the moon, but there are so many questions still left to be answered. Thinking about the types of questions that we have about the moon could help us to formulate ideas for our own lunar poems. What questions do you have? They could be questions about the moon, like what would happen if the moon really was made of cheese? Or how did Neil Armstrong feel when he walked on the moon? Or how big is the moon? They could be questions that you'd like to ask the moon if you could. Do you have a real name? Do you mind being called the moon? Is there a man that lives on you? Do you get lonely? You can turn your questions into a list poem, grouping, ordering, and developing your ideas. Here's an example. Questions about the moon. What would happen if the moon really was made of cheese? Would it get mouldy? Would we be able to smell it from Earth? You could write your own list poem, just like that, taking your ideas, moving them about to find an order that suits you. Or you could take one of your questions and have a go answering it. Look at your questions and just plan it out and think about it. So I asked myself, does the moon get lonely? And I thought, well, is it on its own? No, it's orbiting about the Earth, so maybe it doesn't feel lonely. Maybe it feels attached to us. And I tried turning that into a poem from the point of view of the moon. Does the moon get lonely? I look like I'm out there on my own, but I know that I'm not alone. I'm always with you, orbiting around the Earth, reflecting light into your dream time. You won't necessarily get the poem the way you want it straight away, but you can play with the words, grouping them, ordering them, moving them around, turning your ideas into something that you really like. Making notes and developing those ideas further is a great way to start writing poetry. If you have a go at writing your own poetry, send it to your teacher. Maybe they could send it in to us too so we could see what you've created. Have fun writing your moon poems.